Angie, welcome to BNI. It's me, Gene. Gene's your host. I'm joined today by Ben and Sim. Thursday night. Yeah, man. Ramadan started for us guys. My first day. Yeah, it's been all right. Not too bad. It's a lot easier when they open at, 5:30 compared to previous years when they used to open at 6:30, 9:30. Sorry. But Ben, it's good to have you back, man. I missed you, mate. How are you?
You too, mate. Yeah, I missed you too. Yeah, I had a nice catch up with Asim last night. He was giving me a little bit of an insider on Ramadan because, as I say, it's obviously not something that I have ever had to experience, thankfully, because it doesn't sound like a very pleasurable month. That's for sure, especially for someone who likes the food like I do. Oh, my mates will tell you I certainly like my food, but it's really good to educate yourself on how disciplined you have to be. And I've got a few guys who work in our team who are Muslims, and they all experience, obviously, Ramadan. So, and then obviously it's Eid at the end of Ramadan, isn't it? Then for like 3 days to sort of, have a bit of a blow off and enjoy some well-earned food. But yeah, it's an absolute a slog for you, I can imagine, and depending on obviously the sunset and whatnot, you it's not too bad at the moment, though, is it? I believe
right now it's all right, mate. Trust me. Right now it's perfect.
Yeah,
I remember the years where it was like you had a window of like 4 hours from 9:30 to like
that's exactly what he
1:00.
said. Yeah,
It
that's
was
what he
really
said.
it was
Yeah. In
difficult them
COVID
days.
times, I think it was a real nightmare, and it was dead hot as well.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare. I can't imagine how the professional footballers deal with it. Like, obviously, our very own Mr. Mohamed Salah must obviously really struggle with it. Really, mustn't he? You think they're professional athletes, you need the nutrition and whatnot, but they must find a way of doing it, sort of thing. So yeah, I take my hat off to anyone who is in the middle of that, and well done to you all. But yeah, good to be back, mate. Yeah, nice to meet Sim as well.
Yeah, Sim, man, our first time on stream together, man, Ben. So it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Thursday night, Sim.
Everyone. What's that? Sorry.
Thursday night, Sim. You're a regular, especially because obviously Thursday night is my show.
My missus she's watching Apprentice without me, man. She goes, listen, if you're jumping on stream, I'm watching the Apprentice without you. So I was just like, listen, Thursday night, streaming night. So yeah.
Big up everyone, guys. First and foremost, you know the drill. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. But yeah, guys, look, I think it was good. Let's obviously, for Ben, I've just caught you back and Sim, it's been a week. You know what? It's been a decent sort of week for Liverpool. Obviously, we won on the weekend. We move on to the next sort of game. Big game for Notts Forest. I actually watched their game today, Ben. They won 3-0.
Oh yeah, I forgot to play in Europe, aren't they? What was the score?
Fenerbahce away, they won 3-0.
Did they? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good result for them boys.
That wasn't expected, to be honest. Fenerbahce was supposed to be a real tough game, wasn't it?
Tough game.
That is a real confidence booster.
I'm thinking, you know what, today I'm just going to be optimistic, and then you brought that news, man. I forgot there was football on today. I'll be honest.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah. Thursday night, we don't want to think about football on a Thursday night, do we? That's a different conversation altogether.
That might be next year.
Was it a strong team?
Yeah, they played their best team. Ben, they played really well, and what's his name? Their first goal, that left-footed centre back. What's his name?
Morello.
Morello scored a brilliant goal, Ben.
Did he?
Brilliant goal. Like, he picked up the ball, went through two players, and hit a decent shot from about 25 yards out and went into the bottom corner. Wow. And obviously, their striker, he always bloody scores. He got a goal as well. But fair play, man. They deserved to win. They played really, really well. They actually should have scored a few more. But big up to them. They had a big run, but we've got a massive game against them on the weekend. Liverpool have to win. We tend to struggle against Forest as well, just going by history, and especially
just having a quick look now. My word, they dominated them. So Morello, Igor Jesus, and Jesus, I should say, and Morgan Gibbs-White with the goals. But the stats there: 21 shots to 4.
There you go.
Wow, flipping heck. And yet they had more of the ball. They had 60% possession, Fenerbahce. So it just shows you, doesn't it? They obviously played the classic Forest way on the counter, and it done them the job. It's Victor Pereira, isn't it, who's gone in there to replace him? And he normally has a bit of a bounce, doesn't he, when he first goes in, and then obviously it tails off. So typical us, isn't it? We'll be facing them off the back of that really, really positive away, because I think that was a big catalyst to them losing their manager. Funnily enough, I, as you well know, Gene, I had to go to Spain a few weeks ago for family issues, and I was on the plane with Forest fans, and because it was exactly the same time when they were playing in Braga, because we flew into Porto, and they were playing Braga, and this young girl and her dad were going there, and they were like, "Oh, have a great trip," blah blah blah. And obviously we saw it afterwards. It was like one of the worst performances in their history in Europe. Apparently, they got booed off. You know, they lost 1-0, didn't they? The weather was horrific, and that was a big player in terms of him getting sacked. Now, this Victor Pereira, obviously, he didn't end well for him at Wolves, but he had a great. He had a great bounce, didn't he? New manager bounce there, sort of thing. So it's a real challenge, but it's still Thursday night. We've had a full week to prepare, so that's got to play a part in terms of a long journey. You know full well, it's a good old trek to Turkey and back, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's an away fixture, difficult ground. Atmosphere was hostile, but there's still. But regardless of what you say, but at the end of the day, it's a tough 90 minutes, regardless of. And we've got we haven't played since Saturday.
And most of those players, looking at the team, I would expect majority of those players to start on Sunday. Team there: Williams, Morello, Milenkovic, and Aina, Sangari, Anderson, Gibbs, White, Hutchinson, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and Igor Jesus. That's as you say, best 11, isn't it? So you'd expect most of them to start on Sunday. So we've got no excuses really to not put it on them, at least in the first half, and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We've had a week. We've had a week to recuperate now. So it's put some form together, man. A couple league wins together. It's what we need. Like they're actually a strong squad, aren't they? I think, or at least a good
European squad, 13.
And I mean, they've played tonight. We got to stick it on them on Sunday, man. We can't mess around now this part of the season.
How are you feeling, Gene? Just because I've not spoke to you obviously for a few weeks. Obviously, your thought was like the fixtures are coming thick and fast, and the hard games are coming, and you were almost expecting the wheels to come off completely. Have you been encouraged, surprised, sort of like, feeling a little bit more positive?
I am feeling a little more positive, Ben, if I'm honest. Look, end of the day, we're beginning to play better. We're scoring, a lot more goals. We do look like a better football team. But like I mentioned, the thing with us, Ben, is, and the couple of games we lost, City, really last minute, you lose to them, Bournemouth, last minute killers. That's what hurts. And I just think I think Forest, Ben, and I think what helped was United and Chelsea both drawing their games, Ben, which has made us feel a lot better. Just finally, because it always felt like, they're catching up, then they overtook us, and they went 5 ahead of us.
Dropping points,
yeah, and it was like, well, yeah, when are we going to catch up? But the last weekend, obviously, we caught up, and now we're only a couple of points behind them, and then we've got a couple of points. If we beat Forest, I think Chelsea have got Burnley this weekend, which is obviously an easier fixture, but their hard fixtures start after. Their difficult games start after. So we need to get 3 points this week.
And in parallel, we've now got some really winnable fixtures, haven't we? I know we've said that a lot, but they are, back-to-back Wolves, isn't it? It's a really weird scenario. Have you seen that scenario? First time in Premier League history that a team has played the same team twice back-to-back in midweek and not over the course of a weekend. Just one of those funky scenarios, because we've been moved to the Friday night now, haven't we, for Wolves?
Friday night, yeah.
So we're now Tuesday in the league, and then Friday in the cup.
Friday in the cup, yeah.
And then we've got what's called we've got West Ham, I think, and Spurs. Really winnable games.
And this is the thing. I think if we can, Liverpool
just check my mic, guys. Sorry, you just carry on.
Yeah, if we can win them couple of games, especially over the next few. For me, the most important thing is somehow get 3 wins on the bounce. Sim mentioned it. It's really important that we can win 2 or 3 on the bounce, because I think win 3 on the bounce, and you'll see it was if not overtake the likes of United and Chelsea, because that's what they did. United have won 4 in a row, and all of a sudden they were 5 behind us. They really went flipping 3 ahead of us, and
I think it made it worse. It made it worse that their performances were good as well. So it kind of started, I think for us, we were watching us like scrape draws, or we were losing, or maybe scraping a win. And all we're hearing about is United playing, electric football, and we're just there like dogging it out. And I think that probably made it a little bit more toxic within the fan base as well. So we're kind of getting in our own heads a little bit more as well. But now we know what happens. Like, you know, you get that new manager bounce, and then it can kind of start to even itself out. But we've put ourselves in a position now where we're looking over our shoulders and ahead of us, and we need to just be focusing on what we're doing and just getting these wins together, man. Get some good performances. Hopefully, get a few players back as well now.
I agree. Well, I think once we get a couple back as well, Sim, I think Liverpool will be okay. Once obviously Frimpong, that what the manager mentioned, another week or so to go. Yeah. Once hopefully he comes back, he'll just give us that, allow at least a proper right back to play in a position, because right now we're playing either Jones or Dominic Szoboszlai in that position, and it does hamper us regardless of what you say. We need them players to be playing in midfield, especially Szoboszlai. But yeah, man, look, I was worried, a lot more worried, Ben, before you left for a couple of weeks ago. I'm a bit more calm now. I think this weekend will be telling. If we can somehow get 3 points this weekend, Ben, it's a massive, massive game. Sunday, 2 p.m. Win that game. Yeah. If we can get the points in that game, then I will say, you know what, proper positive team will be back, Ben. If we beat Newcastle this weekend.
I totally agree. It's an acid test on Sunday without a shadow of a doubt. I think Gomez will start right back on Sunday, and I think I probably would start him at right back even if Frimpong was fit and available, because I think it's that sort of game and that sort of opposition where I think, having that extra defender type style player in your back four as opposed to somebody going forward is definitely the way to go. And I think him getting that half an hour against Brighton is probably just was the plan to sort of get him going again. He will have had a full week's training now, or I say full week's training. They never have a full week, do they? They always get like 2-3 days off and then start again Wednesday. So we do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's pretty good going. So I'd take that all day. And I think if he plays Sunday and we get a result, then all of a sudden you've got the 2 back-to-back Wolves games where you've got Frimpong as an option, and you can mix it up between the 2 of them then, can't you? So yeah, big one on Sunday though, mate. You're right.
Guys, I don't think, Ben, you're not going to be on now till Sunday.
Sunday night, hopefully. Yeah, I'm away this weekend. Yeah, with the family.
So you're away.
But Sunday night I'll be back.
Let's get your early prediction in then. Yours and Sim's early prediction for the game on Sunday.
Do you want to do a lineup as well?
Yeah, I don't mind. I'll do a quick lineup if you want. Let's do a quick lineup as well.
Yeah, it's pretty much picks itself, doesn't it? I think. But there is a few interesting conversations. Like we were talking last night, like that. Obviously, Jones or Szoboszlai have been playing right back, but that in a way also takes a headache away from the manager, because he doesn't have to find a position for them in midfield. Now all of a sudden you've got Joe Gomez back on Sunday, and I'm pretty much guaranteed he's going to play right back. Therefore, you need to leave somebody out of the other 6 positions, don't you? And my guess or my thought would be Gakpo, probably because he's been struggling in general. And the last few weeks, his output has obviously dropped off massively. However, against the Forest, who are a physical team, who there's a lot of energy in them, I wonder whether or not that does happen, and maybe it's a McAllister who drops out. But again, McAllister's shown a real upturn in form, so it is quite a difficult decision. So I'd say, obviously there's some people that pick themselves. Beckett will be in goal. Canate and Van Dijk will be centre backs. I think it'll be Kerkez at left back. I think it'll be Gomez at right back. But after that, then I feel as though it'll be Szoboszlai. My guess would be Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and then I think he will go Wirtz, Gakpo, Salah, Ekitike. That would be my shout.
So your midfield is who? Which 2 have you got in midfield? Szoboszlai and?
So I'd go Szoboszlai and Gravenberch, yeah. And so McAllister will be the one that drops out onto the bench for me. And it'll be Wirtz in the 10. And it'll be Gakpo left, Ekitike through the middle, and Salah right.
I wouldn't be surprised if he can get Szoboszlai back in the middle. I won't be surprised if he puts Wirtz back out on the left, even though he's looking good in the positions that we want him to be in now.
That's what I'd choose to do. I'd rather have Wirtz on the left, but I'm just thinking what the manager might think. Yeah, but that would be my choice as well. Yeah, I think Wirtz on the left would link better with Kirkes as well, because we were laughing last night that, you know, Gakpo and Kirkes, there's no link up there at all, because Gakpo's a very one-track minded sort of player, isn't he?
He doesn't look up either, does he?
That's what I would do as well.
I tend to agree with you guys. I think I probably would have preferred to see Dom in the 10 for this game, especially with it being away. New manager Barnes, they'll be up for it, especially after this win, Ben, and probably play Wirtz from the left. But I agree. I think Liverpool will still go with the 4-2-3-1, if you want to call it that, and go out and play and see if we can cause them problems. I think it's going to be
on the bench for you as well.
On the bench for me as well for this game, because I think
same for you, Sim.
Nah, I think it's going to be Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, Maka, Wirtz, Ekatike, Salah.
Oh, so you think Gakpo will be on the bench?
Yeah.
Wow. That's what I would choose as well. But as I say, I'm just thinking of what the manager
It's hard to call it at the moment,
but it's nice having an option.
We're having this conversation, because it just means we've got options again. Like, do you know what I mean?
Finally got a first teamer who you can rotate, and that's without considering Jones as well. You know, obviously Jones has not been in favour, you know, interestingly over the last few weeks, but he did start against Brighton, and he was good. But I think it's safe to say that he'll be back on the bench as well. But having at least 2 first team players on the bench, you know, is something at least. And let's hope that Frimpong's added to that.
I said the bench will look, you know, we've been seeing a lot of
as well.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of kids being playing there, especially over the last few weeks. So it's good that, you know what, the bench finally looks slightly better than previous weeks. But look, I think I think it's going to be a tough game. I think I'm going for a 2-1 Liverpool win. I think Ekatike will score and Wirtz will score. I think we beat them 2-1.
I was going to say 3. I was going to go with 3, man. Let's keep putting some goals away, man. I don't want a close game. I just want a nice, relaxed Sunday, man.
We don't do relax anymore,
never is
bro.
with the Reds, no, never is.
To be optimistic.
Just imagine if you were an Arsenal fan at the moment and what our podcast would be like.
Mate, Twitter last night was active. It was so fun. I couldn't sleep.
Honestly, I said to Asim after we come off the stream, I said, I'm going to go and put the kettle on and I'm going to go and watch AFC TV for the next half an hour just to chill me out. Honestly, some of the stuff on there, they were going absolutely nuts. You know, really just like, Arteta, get rid of him. They're all shit sort of thing. Slaughtering Calafiori when he's been possibly the best left back in the country for the first half of the season. Honestly, it just shows you what we are like as fans. When things are going good, everything's great. But when things turn or change, they are nervous now as a fan base, my word. So, yeah, I can't imagine what we'd be like. Imagine our streams now if we were in that.
My little one was watching the game, and there's about 5 minutes to go, and I said, I wish Wolves score. And then my other little one started crying upstairs, so I went upstairs, and I could hear him, you know, as when the goal went in, I heard him say, come on, like Liverpool had scored the goal. He told me that basically they scored, and I was there putting the other one to bed, so, you know, I got the nod from him. It was pretty funny, though.
I had a feeling, man. Honestly, I got back from football, and I couldn't be asked to watch the game. I saw that they were winning, and I thought, right, I've had my dinner, I had a shower and stuff, and I'm about to get into bed, and I'm checking, and it was like, okay, 2-1, and then I thought, it's done. It was like 90 plus 5, and then just about to get in bed, and it just flashed up on my screen, 2-2. I couldn't believe it, man.
Unbelievable, yeah.
It was hilarious, man.
Dave's saying is there a watch along on Sunday, team?
I think yes, there is. This Sunday there will be a watch along, guys. So do join us for that. For those of you that'll be watching us, make sure you join us for the watch along on Sunday.
Yeah.
So guys,
I'm thinking, just going back to the Reds, sorry, quickly. I'm thinking 2-1, another tight game. I was hoping for a clean sheet, but after they scored 3 tonight, now I think they'll be up for that on Sunday. So I think it'll be really tough. So I'm going to go 2-1 to the Reds.
Sim?
Yeah, I'm going 3-1. I'm sticking with 3.
So let's hope that all 3 of us have gone for a Liverpool win on a Sunday. Let's hope one of us is right. I don't care who it is.
Any win, I'd take any win.
Exactly. Guys, I wanted to speak tonight about the Liverpool, the situation regarding contracts and all that type of stuff, Ben. Because look, obviously we don't know what's going to happen with Ibu Konate yet. There are murmurings that they might be signing And then you heard, there's news that Real Madrid might be back in for him. Liverpool signed Jeremy Jacquet for the summer as well. And obviously, when there's a lot of news coming out, Liverpool have got to sort out. There's quite a few contracts that need renewing, especially over the next 12 to 24 months. Some big players in there, and when I had a look at this, Ben, I was like, bloody hell. So obviously people will probably know this already, but 2026, Ibrahima Konate, Andrew Robertson. 2027, Salah, Van Dijk, Gomez, Becker, Curtis Jones, Endo. Year after that, Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch. If you look at that team right now, you've got probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 starters. Probably you could say 7 starters, and I've not even counted Curtis Jones in there. 7 starters, Ben, whose contracts are up for one reason or another in the next 24 months. Look, there are mitigating circumstances on some of them. Like, no, not this. I didn't include Andrew Robertson in the starting 7, by the way. Obviously, he's probably Andrew Robertson will probably leave.
There is what's called. I'm just doing a quick one so that you can throw it up on screen if you want, so that we can just reference it. Sorry, we should have been better prepared, shouldn't we? Contracts.
This is actually a fair comment. He goes, maybe it's just me, but I feel like we are the only ones in the contract dramas always. That's because there's other clubs out there really giving 7-year contracts to players, right?
Yeah,
and we just don't do anything
mad,
like that.
No,
we
it
just
is.
Don't
It's
do
mad.
anything like that. But
just throw it up on screen for us there, just so that we can sort of reference it. So, as you were saying there, so contracts expiring this summer: Konate, Robertson, Reece Williams, Freddie Woodman, and Trey Adonye's a contract as well expires this summer. That's interesting, And then, as you said, is he possibly signed? Yeah, this is just I've just pulled this now. So, and then you've got obviously Alisson then runs until he's got like 1-year extension option. I think he has.
Yeah, Liverpool can do it. Liverpool can extend it if they want.
Yeah, and then you've got Virgil, you've got Calvin Ramsey, you've got Gomez, and then midfielders wise, Curtis Jones, and Badicic. Yes.
So forwards as well.
Oh yeah, sorry. Just I've only done I haven't done the what's called. Sorry. Oh, just Salah. Just Salah. It says on the forwards.
Yeah, and that's
know that one.
Yeah, that's what we're talking in the next 12 months. Yeah, practically, 12 to 13, 14 months. But then if you look at the year after that, Ben, you've got McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, literally our midfield right now.
Yes, that's 2028. Isn't it?
That's 2028. Liverpool got a lot of work to do.
They have. If you start with this coming summer, obviously the one that jumps out is Konate. So we need to sort of, I don't know. I'm flip flopping on this one. 1 week I think he's going, and the next week I think he's signing. And then equally, of my own opinion, 1 week I want him to go, and the next week I want him to sign. So, and I'm starting to think to myself, the amount of money that top centre backs cost now, I think I want him to sign for what his ability is and what his level is. For him to sign on, I don't know, say 200 grand a week would be a lot cheaper than to have to go and replace him for what, 50, 60 million, but maybe even similar salary. I don't know what you guys think.
This is the thing, Ben, that if you're going to, number one, let Ibu Konate leave, his replacement is going to cost you 50, 60 million pounds. Then on top of that, you've got wages, and whoever you sign is going to probably be wanted by other football clubs that are probably willing to pay more than Liverpool. Let's be honest. There's other clubs that will pay more. Like Jeremy Jacquet, Chelsea were giving him more money than Liverpool. But, he chose us because he felt like there was a proper pathway. And
it's the same with Virgil and Salah, isn't it? It's like it's a lot cheaper to sign him than it is to let him go on a free.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he has to sign. For me personally,
he has to sign
a contract. I don't want to see here, even if it means Liverpool going a bit above and beyond to get him signed. I do it. I would definitely do it.
Because we're saying that we need 2-3 centre-backs in the summer. If you actually look at it, if you went into the start of next season with Van Dijk, Konate, Leone and Jacquet, I'd take that. And possibly Gomez as well.
Maybe another
Gomez
versatile one though that could fill in at either right back or left back. I think.
Yeah. But then would that not be Gomez?
A potential one to do that. I said a few weeks ago. I said with Konate, I don't think there's. Okay, he's had a poor season this year, but I don't think there's 10 better centre backs than him in the world, or 12 where that are obtainable. Obtainable centre backs.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
His deficiencies with his ball distribution are pretty clear for everyone to see.
Yeah.
But then his actual defending, his aerial ability, his one-on-one defending, his physicality, his pace. There's not that many, as you say, better in all of those, let alone one of them. So it is his distribution. So I suppose the argument is if you get better distributors around him, like we had with Trent. Obviously, we're never going to replace Trent. But that's probably the reality of it, isn't it? If you want a centre back that can pass like Trent, defend like Virgil, physicality, pace of Konate, then you're looking at 70-80 million pound player, aren't you? And I don't think Liverpool ever want to spend that sort of money on a centre back because they want to put it all into the forward line.
And the only time we've done that is because we got the most generational centre back that's the best of our generation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think the DOFs see value in centre backs. I just think they see, unless he is a generational player, then I think they just look at centre backs and think, wow, how much is he going to cost us? Paying 60-70 million for X, is that really going to make us so much better than paying 20 or 30 million less for Y? So for example, Van der Ven, who will be somebody on the market this summer, potentially, he's still going to be 70 odd million, isn't he? And we think he's a very, very good centre back. I don't know if he's completely world class, but 70 odd million for a centre back who, that's astronomical money. I'd rather go and buy a slightly less proven 30-40 million pound European player and put the extra money into a belter up front.
I agree with you, Ben, but I still believe that Liverpool need to sign, even if Konate signs a new contract, Liverpool need to bring one more centre-back in. And one of the reasons for that is...
Even with Xhaka and Leone?
Yeah, and the reason for that, Ben, is because if I look at this team now, I look at Virgil van Dijk, 35 years old, right? Leone, 19, 20-year-old, just coming back from an ACL. Jeremy Jacquet, brand new team, brand new league. Anything.
An injury now as well. You don't know how he's going to recover from that.
Look, look, as much as I think he'll be a fantastic signing, there's still, there's a fear there. And with Konate, look, let's be honest, brilliant centre back. I love him. I want him to sign that contract. Yeah. Look, there's always that little thing that's always been there with Konate, right? I just think there's still a risk if you bring in one more player that can play on the left, but in the left. Because if Robbo's gonna go and we sell, a Simicas as well, Brian bring in a centre back. I don't mind paying 60-70 million pounds for.
When you say it like that, we've got 4 centre backs, but there's question marks over all of them for different reasons, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's no.
And I would rather pay 70 million for Van der Ven, Ben, who can play that left back position, but then also like a Schlotterbeck, who can also play as cover for Kerkez in that left back position if we needed. And that's why I think it's important Liverpool go and bring in another centre back, regardless of what happens with Ibu. Well, if Ibu Konate goes, then there's a no-brainer. We have to bring one in. But I want him to stay, because I want us to go in with a squad that's good enough to say, Ben, you know what? We're strong in that position. We're going into next season with we've got 5 strong centre backs. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Schlotterbeck's a great shout. He was in my. I don't know if you saw it. I did me 5 in 5 out last night. And he was in my, because he's 35-40 million. That's a bit of a buy, but he is left-sided, isn't he? Can also play left back
in the summer
because he's got 1 year left in his contract.
He's only got 1 year left.
You got to get him in, man. If he's available for that price, but I'm sure Real Madrid were sniffing around as well, man.
Real Madrid are sniffing around. Real Madrid do need centre backs. If you look at their team, there's a few of them. Pretty old now, the rights of Rudiger and, Alaba's going to be leaving at the end of the summer. I know they've got that youngster and they've got Huijsen, but they still need another centre-back because the other Militao's always, he's always injured. So I can understand why they want to go and bring in a centre back or two. But why not? Let's try and go and get him. But if it means, we just need to. I'd even Senesi, Ben. I really like
Free,
Senesi.
he's on a free.
I've watched him a few times now. This is why I had him in. It's a free transfer. Get him in. He's a left-sided centre back, decent
Solid.
left foot, brilliant passer, really good passer of the ball. And it makes sense. It's a free transfer. Go for it.
Yeah. No, I think that's
the
very
next centre back
possible.
that we bring in has to be someone that can progress the ball well as well, because other than Virgil, our defense it's not it for progressing the ball, whether it's even just running through the lines or passing through the lines. The next one we get in has to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I totally agree. That's such a huge factor, isn't it?
Especially if we're going to stick. I mean, I think it doesn't even matter which manager we have, whether it's Slot or someone else is replacing him. The way we're going to play, we're going to be in possession, 60-70% of the time. So we need to be able to bring the ball out. But
I agree. Look, it has to be somebody. I think most of it, any players that we bring in, they have to be able to play football, and that's key, especially right now. But Ben, your boy Andrew Robertson, I think are we fair and we all agree that he'll be leaving in the summer?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yes, I think so. I think Costas has gone, but I think Robertson goes only if we get, as you say, a replacement, and that replacement will be not a backup left back. It'll be another genuine first choice centre back / left back option.
Yeah,
because Kerkez has obviously got much better as the season's gone on. He's very robust as well, so he doesn't break down. So I don't think he's going to get injured very often. So the person who you bring in, it's got to be good enough to challenge him, but at the same time, it can't be that good a player because they're going to want to play. So I think the logical thing is if you bring someone in who can play in multiple positions, maybe a replacement for Joe Gomez, someone who can play left back, centre back, and maybe even right back as an option. I think that's a no-brainer. That for me is where Slotterbeck comes into the to the conversation, and then you can rotate for different scenarios. It's not just about. I know Slot loves to play a consistent team, but you need to have that versatility to say, right, we're coming up against a team of Groks today. We need to play an extra midfield, an extra centre back, full back, or we're coming up against a really low block and we need really attacking full backs to be able to break them down. So yeah, I'd like to see a genuine option there, and I think that's why Robbo will go.
Fair play. I think the others, look, they're youngsters that will go in the summer. We'll leave them out. We'll go to 2027 when this is the summer. This is the summer that's gonna be the big one, because there's players on there that are like were catalysts for Liverpool Football Club for years. You're talking the Alisson Beckers, Virgil van Dijks, Mohamed Salahs, even good players who've given us decent service like Joe Gomez. You've got Curtis Jones in there. Big players, Ben. In regards to Alisson Becker, Ben, I want to speak about Alisson Becker first because, look, he's been an unbelievable servant at this football club, a legend of this football club, arguably the best goalkeeper to have played in the Premier League. If we were to speak about his season this season, I think he's been good, but I think he's had moments this season where they're not Alisson Becker moments, if you know what I mean. He's made a few mistakes. I think the distribution hasn't been nowhere near as good as it has in previous years. I'm not saying that he's been brilliant. His distribution ever been amazing. But I just think he's not the same Alisson Becker that we saw a couple of years ago. And look, that's a crazy high bar, by the way. Come 2027, at the end of next season,
we're talking Premier League all-time great, aren't we? So as you say, the bar is, but I think you're spot on. You've seen a couple of little signs of age this season, and I think that's what it is, age. Generally speaking, he's still in great condition. His shot stopping's brilliant. I love him, and I think he will stay for another year and take that extension. But I wonder whether or not, and I don't know whether this is good for us, but I wonder whether or not it'll be more of a transitional season, the season after, where there's got to be some sort of plan for Mamardashvili to become the number one at some point. If they or whether or not they deem Mamardashvili as the number one replacement, maybe you've brought him in and he's been on trial almost. I haven't been. There's not there's nothing in me that says, oh my word, Mamardashvili is gonna replace Becker to the level of him. But I think that's very difficult. The same way as we go when we try and replace Salah, when we try and replace Trent, when we try and replace Virgil. You know, there aren't other generational players out there just waiting to replace these greats. We're talking all-time greats, so it's a very, very difficult job to do.
Yeah, I get that.
But I do think that next season will be Alisson's last season, sadly. And we'll see where we go from there.
Sim, so if Liverpool do trigger that extra year in Alisson Becker's contract, that will take Alisson Becker up to 2028, right? So that's 2 seasons at the end of this one. I think Liverpool will trigger it, if we're honest, depending on what happens with Mamardashvili. Mamardashvili, from what you've seen, number one, do you think he's good enough? And number two, do you think he'll wait 2 years?
Sorry to interrupt, Gene. I'm pretty sure that the extra year trigger is this summer.
Oh, so
his deal, that would mean his deal, if it's triggered this summer, finishes in 2027.
Is it?
I think that's what
You
that
might be
means.
right, you know.
I don't know whether chat you can confirm that. I'm sure they will, the clever bunch. But I'm pretty sure that his deal finishes this summer, and then he's got the year this summer to take him for another 12 months.
See, I've said all season that I don't know when the trigger comes in, but I always said that we'd sell him the year before. So it's, you know, I think we only activate to protect his value.
You're right. Looks like, Ben, it runs out this summer and it gets... Actually, you know what? That makes sense now. Correct. Yeah. Yes, you are correct.
So his full deal runs to 2027 if they extend it, which
and that's scary, that is.
Yeah. So I think Mamardashvili, so the next season is his last season then, yeah?
Yeah, unless he signs a new deal, which I don't.
Unless we sign him up, or unless we sell him, which is a scary thought, man. It's a very scary thought, because I'm not sure. And you know what it is with Mamardashvili? I think he's been a bit unfortunate because he's come in. It's just the season we're having where who's actually looked good other than Szoboszlai or a couple of others, but and he's not had a stretch of games where you could say how many games. At the start of the season, was it about?
How many games? What's him? Sorry.
Did Mamardashvili play at the start of the season? Did he play about? Was it like a 10 game run? Was it? Or?
Yeah, something around that 7, 8, 9.
And that's it. And we were thinking out the place at that point as well. So it's a little bit unfair to judge him. Yeah. And he's on. I think with goalkeepers, they get better with age as well, don't they? I think
the one that stands out for me. He was done too easy in the United game, wasn't he, at Anfield? When that early goal, he got done at the near post. That was a bit weak. But then he's also made some absolutely brilliant saves in certain games as well, hasn't he? So it's a small sample size, is what you're saying.
It's a very small sample size, and I wouldn't be surprised if we try. And you know what? Because we've been recruiting goalkeepers quite a lot over the last few years for the academy. We seem to have like a little bit of a goalkeeper fetish. We're trying to find the next one. But
a bit of a squad of them.
I wouldn't be surprised if we, there's that one that Avi was talking about, and I've seen a few people talking about him on Twitter now, and I think he plays in the French league. I can't remember what his name is, but I wouldn't be surprised if we go for someone like that, so it can be Mamardashvili might start off as the first choice, but we're saying to this kid, listen, it's a competition. Neither of you are first choice, but it's whoever's good enough.
Yeah. Absolutely, it is a massive loss, no matter what. Let's be honest about it.
It's impossible to replace. I can't think, how many top class goalkeepers are there at the moment?
Yeah, well, Ederson was a brilliant keeper for City, and then they obviously changed him for Trafford, and that was quickly realised that was a massive downgrade. And then they've gone and got Donnarumma, which has been a stroke of genius, hasn't it? Because he's saved them, he's got them out the mire a lot. But then I don't remember. Like I remember Arsenal getting Raya from Brentford, wasn't it? And there wasn't like, oh my word, what a signing he is. It was just a really good, solid goalkeeper. But now he's evolved into one of the best around, I think, apart from that cock up the other night. So maybe that's the vision for Mamardashvili, in that he comes in at the moment and he's raw, but he's got a lot of talent. I think it was Eugene who said that. Was it the Euros? He was absolutely phenomenal for Georgia. So, if you can perform at that level on the international stage, then if he's given time to develop and we've got good coaches there, then, maybe he will do a job for us, at least for a period of time, until, we maybe get someone even better. But I don't think he's a massive, we need to do something about that this summer. So I'm okay with that.
And you know what it is as well? He might perform better when the team's more confident. Like, I don't want to be harsh on him, because it's like I said, it's been a rough season, man, and it's not easy for anyone to come into that. And he knows he has to impress, because he's covering Alisson, and the chances are that he wasn't going to stay in the team when Alisson came back. So it's mentally that can take its toll on you.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that as well, because I think one of the big situations early on in the season when he was playing is that the players themselves have not got used and adapted to the fact that Mamardashvili was left-footed. Yeah, they were playing a lot of balls to his right foot, because obviously that's what Beckett is. And it's like, play it to his left foot, because he's left-footed, and he was having to, distribute balls with his right foot. And I know you should be able to kick it with both feet when you're a professional player, but, those sorts of little nuances need to be gotten used to adapt to get the best out of these players. So, I think we'll be all right with them long term. But thankfully, we've got at least one more season with Alisson.
Fair play, Ben. Fair play, Ben.
Next one's interesting.
The captain.
So I've got a theory on this. I think there's an excellent chance that he signs another extension.
Yeah. For how long?
I think he's the sort of player who can do a Thiago Silva, and I think he'd do another 2-year extension. Might only do one of those 2 years, but I think he would do another 2-year extension. I think he's the sort of player who, it'd be interesting to see whether he did that and he stayed the captain. I think if he did, he would have to. But to me, Virgil is just, he's had a few ropey moments this season, and that's without a shadow of a doubt going to happen to him as he gets older. But he's played every minute of every game. And a player of that level and of that stature, you probably should start to rotate him a little bit towards the twilight of his career. And absolutely. I think if we had the option to rotate him and just drop him in for big games where he'd have a full week off or whatever, I think he could still be equally as effective as he can. He doesn't look like he's lost a lot of pace. He still reads the game brilliantly. His aerial dominance is just unbelievable. And he has that physical presence on the pitch, where he still bullies anyone and everybody. And I think if you wrapped him in cotton wool and rolled him out when you really needed to, I think he could still be with us for another at least 12 months after the end of his current deal. But that's just my thought.
Sim?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think he's made a few mistakes this season, but you know what? He's not a god, is he? He's going to make these, human errors. I think, people have been a bit harsh on him, but also we've had no cover to rest him. And I think that's one thing throughout his career. He had that one major injury, but we've never been in a position where we can just say to him, you know what, you just sit this game out this week. You just take a week off and we're good without you. And I think the times that we have benched him, we've struggled in games. And I think, there's a few FA Cup games and we've had to take him to penalties. And but I think he's good enough to keep playing for another 2-3 years. I think if we can do what we can to, like you said, Ben, bubble wrap him, whether that's getting a solid DM in front of him and, fast
pace around him.
We want to be privileged enough to keep this top class player, because he's probably still good enough to go play for another top team. Like someone in the chat was saying about Thiago Silva at Chelsea. I think he could easily do that for another 3 years before taking a big payday and going to Saudi if he wanted to. And like you said, he doesn't look like he's lost a yard. I think sometimes he's a little bit too relaxed, and he's got that confidence, borderline arrogance to him. But you wouldn't change that about him, because that's what makes him, isn't it? And yeah, man, I love him. I want him to stay for another 2-3 years.
I think from trying to play devil's advocate here, Ben. From Virgil van Dijk, obviously, 35 years old. He is aging. If he is to sign a new contract, I think the terms would have to suit Liverpool a lot for him to get that extra 2 years. And if they make sense, I get it. Will they make sense to him? 35 years old, Ben, probably your final proper big contract. He'll be 30. If he was to get 2 years, you're probably talking about other clubs that are in the world. Not just in Saudi here, I'm talking America and these places. They will pay Virgil van Dijk top money.
Silly money. Yeah.
No, you are right.
Yeah.
To,
Just another little caveat to that, though. I don't know if anyone's noticed, but his son is now at Liverpool's academy.
He is. I've seen him. Yeah, I saw that photo.
Yeah, really interesting. And I think to myself, he done an interview, I think, with Gary Neville again, a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying about, talking about the future and stuff. And he said he very much wants to do a lot more with his foundation and with youth development. And I think to myself, you just never know whether or not there could be a conversation about him becoming part of the academy at Liverpool, so for a future generation sort of thing. That might be something that appeals to him. He's very well settled in here. He's been here with 8-9 years now, so he's massive continuity. So those sort of things, like, obviously money's money, like, and silly money is always tempting, but he's already a very, very wealthy man. It's not going to make much difference if he has an extra 5 BMWs or whatever. So sometimes those sort of elements might play a part in your decision making, and I just wonder whether or not he's the sort of person that could be a much an elder statesman of the club.
And I think another thing to I think we overlook sometimes is that leadership material. It's so hard to teach to people. I think you've either got it or you
100%.
haven't. You might be able to learn it, but sometimes you can only learn it from someone that's already a leader, and maybe if I don't
need that real tangible leadership. You need that real tangible, real leadership. Not just we used to be good
at the moment, and we've gone from a lot of leaders and captains of the national team to not many. You don't look at we used to have like 4 or 5 captains on the pitch, and you could be like, okay, we've got Milner there, we've got Henderson, Virgil, Robbo,
captains of the country and stuff.
Yeah, and all of a sudden now it seems like it's dipped a little bit, and when the going gets tough, I think those are the people you need around.
Yeah. And I think the reality is that Mo is going to go in the summer. I think that's the it's most, and he is obviously a huge leader in the dressing room. So you're going to lose him, and you're going to have 12 months of replacing him.
And Robbo.
And Robertson as well. So you're talking that leadership team. And then we've just been talking about Alisson Becker. If he then goes 12 months later, you think to yourself, it's not just about on the pitch, it's off the pitch sort of thing. And if there isn't any, all right, so Bosley is coming through as a natural successor, and I think he will replace some elements of the leadership. But I think we're all, not 100% sure whether he will still be around. If we get a big offer for him and he wants a new challenge, then all of a sudden he could go. So you think to yourself, well, who is the next set of leaders within this squad? And there isn't a lot that jump out at you. There's a lot of talented players, but Isak certainly doesn't come across as a leader. He's going to be here for the next few years. Vert is still a very young man, even though as amazingly talented as he is, he doesn't look like a natural leader at this moment in time. Kirk's very young and raw, so we're buying that youth, and we're buying that young players. But then the offset of that is lack of natural leaders on the pitch. So
and it does make a difference, man.
This is one of the reasons why, Ben, and I don't want to sell Ibu Konate, because I believe he's one of them that
got that potential.
He's got that potential and you're right. You can't lose all these leaders and get rid of the few players that have actually been there for 5 or 6 years. But obviously we're gonna move on to another player now, Ben. Curtis Jones, born and bred Scouse, been through the Liverpool ranks, grown up in the Liverpool ranks. Finally sort of broke into the team where we felt as though it might be a season. And last season, then you thought this season he was a stalwart, especially earlier on in the season, Ben, when this team was doing shy. Curtis Jones was one of the best players. Let's be honest. There was 5, 6, 7 games where without him we were shafted. So to credit to him. But now, as you've mentioned, obviously issues with his contract. His contract's up in 2027. Speaking about Curtis Jones, both of you guys, look, I like Curtis Jones. If we could get Curtis Jones to sign a contract, I would get him to sign personally.
Absolutely.
But when I look at the bigger picture, Ben, I think 1 year left on his contract.
It's 2 in the summer, isn't it?
Isn't a starter. Is wanted by Inter Milan, Tottenham, and other clubs. He's probably going to want 200 plus in terms of his contract. Liverpool are not going to give Curtis Jones 200 plus. Let's be honest. Liverpool are not going to. It is time for Liverpool to part ways with Curtis Jones. Correct?
Yeah, he was on my 5 out last night. I think £40 million you negotiated for me.
Yeah, I
for
negotiated
him,
for
if I'm not
£1 million.
mistaken. I'm taking that this summer. We had a big conversation about Curtis Jones last night. You know, the Scouser in me says that I'd love, you know, you want a homegrown lad in the team. But my biggest problem with Jones is inconsistency. You know, for me, he's never been an out-and-out first choice since he joined the, you know, since he became a first-team player. And he's gone through a lot of midfielders when there's been opportunities. He has been first choice, but I feel as though he's only ever been first choice when other players have been out of form or injured. I don't think when everybody's fit and firing, he is classed as an out-and-out first choice. Now, don't get me wrong. The caveat to that is he's a multifunctional midfielder. He can play in different positions, but I think equally that's probably a hindrance to him because he's not got that specialist ability in any particular area. He's not rapid. You know, he's not a real goal threat. He'll chip in with the odd goal, but that one against Brighton was the first one in 56 games. He'll have a period where he'll be really good for 4 or 5 games, and then he'll either get an innocuous injury for a month or the form will just drop off and someone else will just find their way back in. My biggest problem with Jones is that I always feel as though, and maybe I'm being harsh, but I'm just being honest, is that he's never really had that burning desire to be the best. It's almost as if like he's made it in the team and he's a really good squad player, he's a good option, but he's always happy and content to be around the periphery of the first team and not be like, I'm going to show everybody that I'm the man sort of thing. And he should have done that by now. You know, he's 25, he's coming into his peak, and I think we can get a healthy figure of £40 million this summer on the PSR with his homegrown, so it'll be pure profits. I think if somebody offers us that, I'm taking that this summer.
Sim?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes. Like I think you guys have covered it really well, but I think, like you said, 200 grand a week. Is he worth it? I probably not. I think he's a fantastic footballer. I think he's got traits that if we saw them in another player in another league, we would be fighting over, like, you know, trying to sign this kid. But I think we spoke about it last week with Avi as well, and we were saying, is this his ceiling? Like, is this the best we're ever going to see of Curtis Jones? And I think, Ben, you've added like another layer to that. Like, does he want to be better than what he already is? Like sometimes I watch him play and I think you're so good at ball retention, but it's almost like you want to show how good, like how comfortable you are with just keeping the ball and yeah, no one can get it off me, whatever. But I want to see. I think he's got another level to go to, and I don't want to lose him, but I just don't think he's going to get to that level.
Yeah,
I think that's what frustrates me because, you know, you're arguing with people on Twitter about, you know, that rate him and all that sort of stuff, and I don't want to keep him just because he's a Scouser, and I think it's important to have Scousers in our team. Obviously, if they're good enough, and I do think he's good enough. I think if we can find an agreement where he sticks around, and if this is his ceiling, and he's a great squad player, he's going to play 20, 30 games a season.
Yeah,
you know, just covering multiple positions.
What
have you?
Was question
I think
to you?
I think those.
Question to you and everybody else, everybody in the chat. What's the maximum you guys would pay Curtis Jones to stay at this football club in terms of weekly wages? What is the maximum you guys are willing to go to retain Curtis Jones at Liverpool?
I feel like, based on what Sim said, and I agree, that he's a squad player, a very, very, very good squad player, but he's only ever a true squad player. I would be looking at around 150k max. I think that's realistic in today for a player in his prime, who generally can stay fit all season and is happy to be a squad player, and someone who can occasionally be a starter but generally be more of a utility player. I think 150 grand is probably about right for a team that's challenging for titles and needs elite squad players. That's what I think he is. He's an elite squad player.
I'd probably go 165, 170 max. Like, I think he's valuable to keep around, man. There's only so much we can do this summer as well. Like, sometimes retaining what you have is just as important as.
What do we think he's on at the moment?
He's on about 60, 70 grand a week, man.
Is that all?
So there's a reason why, Ben, Curtis Jones wants top dollar. And one of the reasons why is because I think he's on around 70 grand a week.
Yeah. What do you think he's worth, Gene?
Next contract should only be about 125.
When I look at Curtis Jones, I look at it from two perspectives. I look at it from his perspective, and I think, you know what, I really like the player, homegrown. I look at, when you look at all the factors, I think he's worth 175 grand a week.
Really?
Because when I look at everything,
where I'm coming from, though, that he doesn't have, there's something missing to drive him to that next level.
I get it, but then I look at it from a Liverpool perspective, and I think we've got to do Dominic Szoboszlai. We have to do, Brian Gravenberch. Them two current contracts. We have to do Ibu Konate. These guys are stalwarts that we need them all three of them signed up ASAP.
But then one thing I would say, though, again, just hear me out here. Do we not think that there's a realistic possibility that Trayanone could do the same job as Curtis Jones in maybe 18 months, 2 years?
Maybe 2 years. But he's got to get minutes.
You've got to play him now. You've got to use him now. And therefore, if he replaced Curtis Jones's minutes, then in 12 months, 2 years, would you have the equivalent of what you've got now as Curtis Jones? But Trayanone would be on the same money as what Curtis Jones is on now. And then you would have sold him for 40 million. And that's my business sort of devil's advocate thought process around it. Is Curtis Jones massively better than Trayanone in 12 months, 2 years?
Ben, Curtis Jones is a vital squad player, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a vital. He's not just a squad player. He's a vital squad player that we're letting go of.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm just speculating. I'm just thinking.
At first I was more of the, you know what, Curtis. I'm only selling Curtis Jones, by the way. I was with you, Ben, when I put it down. Get rid of him, 40 million quid. Liverpool will get 40. And I actually had him sold as well in our 5 in 5 out. But the only reason I sold him was because of 1 year left on his contract, and I needed 40 million. Yeah. That's why I sold him, because I thought, forget that.
No, it's two in the summer, isn't it?
Huh?
It's 2 this summer, isn't it? 2 this summer, or is it 1?
He's got 1 year left.
1 year.
Oh, 1 year left this summer. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So 40 million with 1 year's left is good business, isn't it? Realistically,
this is why
you don't want to lose him on a free.
And from his personal perspective, Ben, do we blame the lad for wanting to go? Not really.
No, we don't know.
I don't blame the lad if he wants to go. He wants to go and play elsewhere. Fair play, mate. If you're getting, into the likes of Inter Milan, Champions League football, a new place, probably going to give you 200 plus grand a week to play there. You're going to be a starter every week. It makes sense.
You look amazing.
It's a similar scenario to Harvey Elliott, isn't it?
Yeah. Very similar
to Harvey Elliott. Very talented player. But as you say, you can only hold on to these players for so long if they're not going to be first choice. But then my argument is, why is he not first choice? And it's almost as if, like, you're good enough to be here, but you're not good enough to be the main man. And that is obviously. But like we were saying last night, not every player in the squad that wins leagues is world class.
You don't need him to be. You don't
need a 20-man squad of world class players. No team, like, you go back in the history of teams who have won leagues. Your Park Ji-sungs and your what's called
Fletcher.
Yeah, all of these different players who have won leagues, who have never been world class, but they've been vital squad players and done a job for us. So yeah, and I suppose the other thing is, if you do sell him this summer, you have got to replace him. And could who'd you buy for 40 million? Who's as good as Curtis Jones or better this summer? And that's the key, isn't it? I don't know how much would that. If you said you'd swap him for who's the one Avi absolutely buzzes off, the lad from Lille? Bouadi, yeah. So if you swap him for Bouadi this summer, would you do that?
But then don't we need to get another homegrown player if we do that, or is that not?
Well, yeah, that's a different conversation altogether.
Yeah, but if you said to me today, guys, Bouadi for Curtis Jones, I'll take that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
To be fair, that's a fair deal. You're replacing him with a player that's not first team. Bouadi isn't going to come into Liverpool and say, I want first team football. No. Yeah, he knows he has to fight and fight for his place at Liverpool, like every other player should when they join Liverpool. And he's a young kid. It's only 19, but good seeding. His wages will be 130, 140 will probably make sense in terms of the wages as well. And if we were to do that, I would be happy with that.
Yeah. So Rumi there saying Elliot Anderson, great player, but he's not going to cost 40 million. He's going to cost more like 80, 90 million. So, and that's where we're at, isn't it? That's where you have to be realistic about the situation.
And this is where I think the Curtis Jones, where we're at with Curtis Jones, Ben, is where we are exactly at. And I think Liverpool are not stupid. Liverpool will say, okay, if it's time for Curtis Jones to move on, and there's 40 million sat there, Liverpool will accept in the summer and go on, spend that elsewhere if we have to in bringing in other players. Sticking with the midfield, guys. Fast forward 12 months, and you've got 3 midfielders: McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai. Obviously, all 3 of them came in the same summer a few years ago, and all of them delivered as a title. They were all 3 of them are pivotal in Liverpool winning the title. They're all contracts that are they need renewing. There is simply no way Liverpool are going to allow all 3 of these who have got 2 years left on their contract in the summer, Ben, to
go to the last year.
To go, forget it. They have to sign in the summer. If we even allow 1st of September to come, Ben, you are opening massive doors and you're making grave errors. Either you sell one of them in the summer, whether it's a McAllister or whatever, and you do what you need to do.
Yep.
And you get 2 of them signed up ASAP, because that's what it's going to take. And believe you me, these 2 players, whichever 2 whoever signed, Ben, they're not going to sign for peanuts, mate.
No.
They're going to want big money, especially when they know what Cody Gakpo is on.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I think that was exactly what will happen. I don't know the exact figure for Cody Gakpo, Ben. Look, people mention 250. I don't believe it's 250 personally, if I'm honest. No, I don't either. I think it's probably around the 200 mark.
Yeah, 200 grand a week. So if he's on 200, you can imagine what the likes of Gravenberch and especially Szoboszlai are going to be wanting come this summer.
But my theory on Gakpo getting that deal for that money, I think they've had a conversation with him and said, listen, Cody, you're a very, very good squad player. And he was more than a squad player last season. He was an output merchant in the title-winning season. People can't forget that. He's been poor this season, but majority of the team have been poor, let's be honest, this season. Yeah. People talking about Gakpo's drop-off this season from last, Mo Salah's drop off from last season to this is massive, isn't it? So let's just have it right that he has got the potential to be a good player, and he is a good player. But I think they've said that to him because I think they've said, listen, this is your deal. We've done that to protect your value because there's a potential that you could go for a significant fee in the future. But equally, they've also said that we are going to bring in another left-sided player, and you're gonna be in competition with that player, and we're giving you this money so that you're content with that situation, because you're either on a certain amount and you're starting, whereas I think they've given him that money knowing that and said to him, well, the idea is that you might not be a permanent starter and then you're going to become part of a squad. But I think £200,000 a week for somebody with his output when he's at his potential is probably about right, because as I say, let's have it right. You're looking at Arsenal probably going to win the league. Martinelli, Trossard, and Eze. That's the left-sided options for the title-winning team. His output's better than all 3 of them. And he's shown that when we're clicking and when we're in the right frame of mind, he gets goals. He's not great on the eye. His link-up play is poor, and he is all round, not a world-class player. But again, he's a very good player, and I think that's fine. But what you're saying there about those other 2, those midfielders, I think this summer you are going to sign. Personally, my feeling is that Gravenberch signs, Szoboszlai signs, and McAllister is sold. And the money that you're going to renew with Szoboszlai and Gravenberch are going to come partly from the likes of Salah's wages and Robertson's wages, both of which will go, who are on very good money, and that'll regenerate back in. So you're going to lose a couple of high earners, but then you're going to up some of the lower earners, and they'll become more of the established members of the squad.
Fair. I think 40 grand, you know, when it's 450 grand a week for Salah, Ben, you know, that's like, you know, you're nearly covered them two wages straight away.
And whoever comes in to replace Salah, it might be I'm hoping it's an Elise, but he won't be on 450 grand a week. He'll be on 250 grand a week. So you've all of a sudden got an extra 150 to play with there, haven't you? Sort of thing. And that can be redistributed to other players. Yeah.
It's same in terms of them three.
And you lose McAllister's wages as well, because McAllister will be on good money, won't he? Because he only came in for 40 million. So he will be on, I would think he'd be on north of 150. Yeah, I would expect him to be on. World Cup winner, I would think he would be on good money, especially because we got him at a relatively low fee, didn't we?
So I would think absolute bargain. But I've said for weeks now, I think McAllister will be gone in the summer. I think it might be.
Wait, just before you go, guys, McAllister and Jones, yeah. So you both are saying Jones is going to go in the summer. And you're also saying McAllister's gone in the summer, guys. That's two midfielders. I just want to remind you guys.
Yeah. So sorry, Sim, go ahead. You were talking. I'll come back in a bit.
Yeah, no. That's definitely changed things. I don't think you can lose both. I think you have to lose one or the other. And if it's for me, I'm selling McAllister. I've said it before. I've said it every week. I'm on here now. Like, I've not seen anything to suggest that his legs are going to be consistent for game out next season. We've seen a decent little run of form now over the last couple of games. I think his age as well. Isn't he about 27, 28? That's not old.
27, I think, off the top of my house. He's prime. He's had a lot of football, though. That's the problem with McAllister. He doesn't get injured. He doesn't get knocks. So he's played, and he's played, and he almost burn out to a certain degree. I remember his linked heavily. Yeah, we were heavily linked with Yuri Tielemans on a free a couple of years ago, and we were like, why aren't we getting him? Why aren't we getting it? And I'm pretty sure that it was the data nerds who said he's played so much football, he's going to fall off a cliff. So, and funnily enough, he's actually kept going. But that's definitely a factor. But just very quickly before you come back, Sim, because I know I'm speaking a lot. My justification or my thought process, assuming everything stays the way with the structure of the team, I think the way that the team's going to be set up is you're only going to need two central midfield options next season, because if Wirtz pretty much is the main man in the 10 and you've got a lot more forward options, then you're only going to need to pick two central midfielders. And for me, that's Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, another midfield signing, hopefully a Wharton, and then a Trayanone who's coming higher up the ranks. So I almost feel as though, although it's losing two midfielders, if you're not then picking three positions, then you've got a little bit more bandwidth to work with, and 4 into 2 is probably about right. Because if you're saying to Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and a Wharton, for example, and a Anonye separate, but Wharton's going to want to come in and play, or whoever that midfielder is, whether it's Boadi or whether it's Anderson or whether it's even Belaber or whatever, they're not coming in to be on the bench. So there's going to have to be some acceptance that there's going to be a bit of rotation. So if you still have Jones in there as well, who wants to start, then all of a sudden you're making players unhappy. And Szoboszlai and Gravenberch's injury record is exemplary, so they don't get knocks, they don't get injuries. So therefore, for me, 2 out of 4 works, and I think that's how we can just about get away with losing 2 and only buying 1.
I think the thing to remember with McAllister as well. Okay, so I've just checked. He's 27.
I think. Go
on.
You're saying no.
Yeah. So
he's just.
I think I'm just lagging a little bit. I think they're looking at now, can we maximize what we can get for him? And this might be the most you ever get from McAllister. And obviously they're privy to data that we're not privy to. So they have an idea when players are going to fall off or, whatever. And that's why I think I've been adamant McAllister's going to go. I think if we can convince Jones to stay, brilliant. I don't think the club's stupid enough to sell 2 when we're going to have to bring... We're looking to bring 2 in pretty much every position, so we can't do that. But yeah, I'm sticking with McAllister's going. I think we're gonna get decent money for him. It'd be sad to see him go, man. I love him, but like I said, I just think he was a little bit upset as well, wasn't he? With all his friends getting sold over the summer, and he might want to try something new. He's you know, he's from South America. You know, they want to go play in Spain, and if he can get a team like maybe Atletico, and you know, that'd probably suit him perfectly. Yeah, I think he's gone.
I think Liverpool will only sell one in the summer.
Yeah.
I just think there's too much to do, Ben. If we let two of them go, and then we need to sign wingers as well, centre back as well, and you know, another midfielder as well. I think Liverpool might just say, you know what, maybe not. But I do understand where you're coming from. If I was Liverpool, Ben, and I'd sell both. I don't think they will. I'd sell both though. I think, you know what, get rid of both. Maximize the money, and go and spend big. And if
that's why I'm only doing 4. That's why I'm only doing 4 in the summer. So I said Slotterberg, Wharton, Elise, and our best friend Anthony Trevor Gordon, and that would be my 4 in the summer. Because I think one of the biggest problems of this season is that we've done too much in one window, and I think if we do another 6 or 7, then you're looking at another transitional season potentially as well, which nobody wants.
Choice.
No,
I don't think we got choice. I think we will have to do 5 or 6 minimum again.
Easy.
If you look at this team, I genuinely believe Liverpool are going to have to do at least 5. Robbo's going, Salah's going. We all know them. Jones are going, right? So you need 3 replacements already. We're already
so
probably
Wharton, Elise, and Slotterbeck. They'd be the first 3, and then
let's be honest, Gakpo. We need somebody on that right hand side. If you ask me,
left.
Yeah, sorry, left. Yeah, Gakpo. Yeah.
Anthony Trevor Gordon.
By the way, I've got a lot of chat about Anthony Gordon. Did he have a good game the other day, Ben?
He scored 4 goals, I believe, Gene.
Is he not like the second top goal scorer in the Champions League this season, man?
9 in 10 in the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken.
Just behind Kylian Mbappe, is that the one?
Just behind Kylian Mbappe, if I'm not mistaken. And I do believe he'll be available for in the region of £65 million this summer, because Newcastle will not be in the Champions League. And I think he was a £100 million winger only 18 months, 2 years ago. So I think to myself,
the top goal,
that man,
he's the top goal scorer. Did he beat bloody Mbappe to top goal scorer?
Well,
if he hasn't got one next week in the home leg, he'll score a few more.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm only having a laugh with you guys.
No, and as sad as it is, we were talking about it again last night. I don't want to think like this, and I sincerely hope I don't have to think like this, but there will have to be a list of we don't get top 5 signings.
Yeah.
And it's just a fact, unfortunately. And I think that Anthony Gordon would come without Champions League football, whereas somebody like a Barcola, who would be an alternative on the left, or a Rodrigo, they won't be coming here without Champions League football.
Yeah, but I think I've triggered the chat, you know, with that. The counting is penalties now. 6 or 7 pens, 2 pens, you know, everybody's
Salah or Cole Palmer scored 50 goals last season. 46 of them were pens.
I'm only having a laugh with the chat, man. And you know what? Come on, the guy had a good game. You know, Karabag, he scored 4 goals. You got to give the lad a bit of credit. For scoring 4 in any Champions League game.
There?
To be fair,
ban him, admin, get him banned.
Big up Paddy, man.
Time out for Paddy.
There are some proper Gordon haters in this chat. Look, I hate.
Take those shades off.
Everyone is triggered, man. Nobody wants to see that name, man. Everyone's getting triggered.
All right, you know what, boys? We won't speak about him. We'll speak about Yan Diomande then. Are you guys happy? I bet they're both buzzing now that we're going to talk slightly about Yan Diomande. Ben, there was some news came out. I don't know if did you guys speak about Diomande yesterday?
Very briefly, yeah. I think I know what you're going to refer to in terms of saying that there was a bit of a backroom deal with Elliot going to
and Alex Crook came out with it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was news I think it was yesterday or day before. I can't remember, obviously, because I wasn't on yesterday's show. That Alex Crook came out with it and said that Liverpool are, and Alex Crook, let's be honest, he's got Richard Hughes
these days. Yeah,
he's on it. You know, I think he's Richard Hughes' spokesman, and if he's coming out with Yan Diomande,
it stinks of a Liverpool signing, doesn't it?
100%.
Absolutely stinks of a Liverpool signing. Very, very sort of raw, talented. We've got that long-term relationship with Leipzig. Obviously, signing the likes of Szoboszlai and Kanate, it would be the next one off the conveyor belt, wouldn't it? I haven't seen much of him, to be honest. Obviously, we saw him in that game earlier on in the season, and he looks a very talented player, but I've just got such a soft spot for Gordon that I don't want him to come as a result. But then
Diomande on the right, Gordon on the left, boys.
Yeah. Someone said that last night as well. He could very much be converted to a right-sided player, and we need pace. We need pace. I was saying, like, this team is crying out for pace, pace all day long. We've got pace in the fullback areas, but we need pace on the wings. We haven't stretched teams this season anywhere near as much as we should do. So yeah,
and I think the thing is as well now,
say no.
We're in like a new phase now, aren't we? I know that word phase just reminds me of Arsenal, but we're moving into a new era now, aren't we? So
yes, absolutely.
We're going to move away from the wingers having to score all the goals, and it's gonna be more focused on the central players.
Absolutely. We need to provide for Isak, don't we?
20, 30 goals a season anymore. I think if they can put in 15 to 20, brilliant. And
it's a great point, that. Yeah. We need people who service the strikers rather than the striker servicing the wingers, because it's that Bobby Firmino servicing our wide players. It's going to flip completely now in this new era of the wide players servicing the central strikers. And great point.
And look, and this is why, Ben, there's a reason why. If you said to me who are the best wingers in the world, I'm gonna give you Elise. I want Elise. You're gonna say, everybody's gonna say Elise. When you look at the right wingers, you're gonna say, Vinicius Junior, Kvaratskhelia. Then they're the players that are probably the best in the world. For me, it's not just about players. I have to see, number one, crazy pace, and it has to make sense. It has to work for the likes of Ekatike, Isak, and more for Florian Wirtz to flourish. And players like Diomande, players like Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon, we saw how good he was with Alexander Isak. Everybody saw it.
Yeah.
It's not nothing new. We saw how good Anthony Gordon was with Alexander Isak, and it works. And this is the key. You can't have just world-class players in every position who are going to just, be the... You got to have workhorses. You got to have players that are going to make the players...
That's the key. That is the key.
And this is why I was... People, when I was mentioning Minte and stuff, people thinking, I'm choosing Minte and Gordon over bloody Barcola and Rodrigo. I'm not. I'm just saying, when I look at the team and when there's some teams need pace, I think they will make the team tick more than spending 100 million on Rodrigo and another 100 million on Bradley Barcola. Whereas this will probably make a bit more sense if they're from from the people above. It's slightly different. Look, if we are Diomande and Anthony Gordon in the summer, Ben, I would be absolutely buzzing with them two signings. I'll be honest.
Totally agree.
For me would be probably look, if I could get Barcola, I would want him, yes. But Gordon and Thingy, homegrown as well, you tick another box, which is a lot. End of the day, you can sugarcoat as much as you want, but that is an issue for Liverpool Football Club if Curtis Jones leaves. We need British footballers, English footballers in this team, regardless of what anybody says. And if I have to settle for Anthony Gordon, I'll take it.
And more, this season more than ever, you've seen the Premier League become this unbelievably physical league. It's about dogs of war. It's about battling. It's about fighting. And I'm totally with you. And that's why I've got such a strong, desire to bring Gordon in. Not because he's an output merchant. He isn't going to score 15, 20 goals a season and 15, 20 assists. He might with Isak start firing again. But it's what he offers you off the ball for me. Is tracking back. And I think obviously with that Liverpool connection, his whole family are Scousers and are all massive Liverpool fans. So I think he would just absolutely die for the shirt and he would work his socks off, and he would be somebody who would give so much going the other way as much as you would go. You can't have a front line of just pure flair and pure sort of fancy dans, because it just doesn't work. You need to have players who are going to put shifts in, week out, and that's where for me somebody like Gordon would do that. And then you have your flair maybe, but I'd like to think that Diomande is going to be that similar sort of player who's going to absolutely be a workhorse. So we'll see. Who would your choice be if you could pick two realistically in the summer, Sim?
And I think that's the key word. I think realistic's the key word. Everybody wants Barcola or Rodrigo, but is it realistic? We've got a lot to do this summer, and we can't. It could be another 350, 400 million summer, but I don't I can't see it being another whatever we spent. Was it 500 we spent last year? I just don't see it.
450 last year, yeah, 225 net.
We're going to start to kill ourselves with wages if we start going for Barcolas or Rodrigos. They're not going to come for anything less than 250, and we're then throwing out our wage structure completely. And we've already broken it with obviously Mo and Virgil, but that's one-offs.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not mad. I'm not mad at Gordon on the left.
I'm not selling Kieran. I've not got Scouse bias because I'm selling Curtis Jones this summer, and so just put that one to bed. Sorry, Tim.
I think, like you said, he's a good player. He works hard. Is he going to get the most goals or assists? Probably not. But like I said, I don't think that's what our wingers are going to be there for now. Our wingers are going to be there to stretch play and to link play, to hold it. And I think that's where the fans are going to struggle next season.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because we're so used to wingers being our main source of goals and assists. It's when it's not, are we going to start calling them crap because they're not putting up numbers? And this is again why we're going to start watching football with our eyes again, people, because I think people were struggling with adapting to Ekitike at points in the season because he's not Firmino. We got so used to strikers dropping deep that when Ekitike is having quiet games and maybe he's popping up in moments, or it was the same with Isak. There was a little bit of frustration. It's because we've been so used to Firmino, and that's been about 3 seasons now. But we got used to a certain style of play, didn't we?
Yeah, well, our centre forward wasn't the focal point anymore.
No, absolutely.
Like you think about it, like Nunes has never been prolific. Diaz has not been prolific. He moved into that central position, but he wasn't prolific. He done well, but he wasn't prolific. Jota, God rest his soul. Last season he I think he only got 4 or 5 goals, sort of thing, from centre forward position. And then obviously this season, Ekitike's been a shining light, but he's still far from the finished article, and his link-up play and that has still got a lot to be worked on. And Isak is very much, your classic sort of number 9 player, and that that's going to be something that's going to have to be fixed. Like I said last night, that Ekitike has been brilliant this season, but if you're asking me, would I still rather have a fully fit, sharp Isak ahead of him all day long? Isak puts that header away against Man City, no problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
He missed that one against was it Brighton, was it, or a Bournemouth? I forget. And so he's the killer centre forward, and he'll still be the main man at the start of next season. I've got no doubt in my mind, because he's the one that just spent the serious money on it, and Ekitike will be continue to develop. But yeah, it's going to be a fascinating summer, to say the least. We just got one quick super chat there. What's called?
He goes, I remember back in the day, school, mosque, playing footy, and opening my fast at 9:30. It was tough, man. Yeah, man. He's going talking about the fast. J-Job, big up for your super chat, mate. Yeah, we remember them days, man.
Thanks,
opening your fast, legging it to the mosque, doing your prayers, and then back. Oh, it was tough days, man. It was tough days. But we're on the easy stretch now. So enjoy the next 15 years, at least. So they'll get easier now. So big up.
Oh my word, 122, flipping heck. Where's that gone?
This long boy, man.
122. You know what? But you know what? I've actually enjoyed this show, Ben. Because I wanted to do something different. Let's speak about contracts. I wanted everybody's thoughts on what would happen to certain players, because there's a lot going around, especially in the contract space, and Liverpool need to. Because look, regardless of what we think, guys, with this many contracts that still need sorting, it's gonna hamper our transfer activity for next season. We can sugarcoat as much as you want, as long as obviously Salah will make it a lot easier. But then Salah's replacement is going to cost money, and then on top of that, his wages. If you iron everything out, it won't be as plain sailing as we think. Because I think players are going to want a lot of money. The current players that are playing for Liverpool Football Club, the likes of Konate, the likes of Szobo, the likes of Gravenberch, they're all going to want top wages because they delivered a title for us. And players like that will demand money, top money, especially when there's other clubs in world football that are probably willing to pay them a lot more. But are we all in agreement that Szobo will probably sign his contract once he's given to him, man?
I hope so. Yes.
What's the wages?
He's gonna. Szobo's contract minimum will be 250 grand a week.
Yeah, I think it'll be 250
minimum.
I think it'll be serious.
It's gonna be his contract is serious money, guys. I'm telling you. He's not his contract's no joke anymore, mate. His contract is like you're talking captain material.
Yeah, but then at the same time, I think he's showing that he's probably worth that with the season he's having at the moment. I just hope it's not an Alonso type season in that he's playing for his move. You know, because I remember Alonso being absolutely phenomenal in the season before he went to Real Madrid, and it was like, oh man, flipping heck.
Madrid won't buy him. They won't spend that money on Szobo.
No,
listen, he's a good player, and I know everyone loves him, but he's not Real Madrid quality.
Really?
I don't think he is. Listen, he needs to do this season, and I like Szobo, by the way. I remember his first couple of years, I was saying, give this kid time, he's going to be a very good player. But we've waited. Is this his third season now? His fourth season?
Third season, yeah.
We waited 3 seasons for his best year. He needs to do it again.
Yeah. He is only 25, isn't he? Coming into his peak. Yeah. And I think his striking ability of a ball a season, you know, it's Real Madrid level.
I've never seen someone, other than Stevie G, I've never seen someone hit the ball so clean, and it's just, you know, he's been a bit unlucky when it's gone straight to the keeper, or, you know, it's just missed the post or whatever. But
I think in that deep 8, I think he is superb.
I think you can get him to sign a contract. You know what it is, Ben? I want to see him showcase his skills a little bit more. I think sometimes he's a little bit too safe, and that could be because of slot. I don't want
it could be. I
don't want to come across like I'm a hater here, but I just I think he's good enough to go to another 2 levels, man. I think when you look at his skill level, he can ping a ball 60, 70 yards. He's rapid. He gets stuck in, the way he strikes the ball. He's a phenomenal player. I just want to see him do it again, and I want to see him do it more often.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say if he continues on this trajectory, he'll be Liverpool's player of the season this year, which might not be a big bar because not many players have been great this season. But he's also the sort of player that could take us to a trophy this season with those, you know, to just win a game from nothing. With the way he's, you know, scored on free kicks, and his creation of free kicks as well, his dead ball delivery from free kicks into the box has been pretty impressive as well this season. I've been impressed. Do I see the Gene lean there?
No. I just somebody just said no. I want.
I don't know if you know, Sim. The Gene lean is when he leans forward and he's writing the pole out.
No. I could see him. I could see something in his face when I was coming for Szobo.
I'm prompting you there, Cheen, to do a poll to finish the show.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm really worried about Szobo's contract.
Really?
I'm really worried.
I don't think he's good enough for Madrid, man. I think he needs to get the Madrid out of his head. They'll only sign him on a free contract. They will not pay money for him.
Sim, I think he walks into that Madrid team.
Really?
Yeah, mate. I think he's going to... And I'll tell you one of the reasons why. I think they're going to get rid of Valverde, and he's the Valverde replacement.
So then the scenario is, though, if he doesn't sign a contract this summer, then Liverpool, we think, would look to sell him.
No, him we won't sell. Ben, we will wait 12. We'll get rid of him with 1. I think he's
let
not
him run to the last 12.
Yeah, he's the only player because we can't fucking let everybody go in the summer. We'll be shafted.
I'm going to say, but you of all people have said, I never ever want to let this club allow anybody to go into the last.
That's one thing I was going to say. I think we need to be more brave when it comes to these contracts, man, because we can't keep getting our pants pulled down. Because if we let him go another year without this contract, Real Madrid will say to him, you know what, just wait another year now.
Just wait another year.
We'll get you one free. Don't rush any decisions. Just
my point was going to be, if he doesn't sign the contract this summer and he does go into the last 2 years and we say, right, we're selling you if you don't sign, who pays 70 million, 80 million for Szobo? Not that he's not worth it, but who buys him for 80 million?
Listen, I don't think he's worth 7 million. How much did we pay for him?
Oh, yeah, chill out, man. He's worth flipping 100 million, man.
What?
He's worth...
Who's paying that money?
100 million quid.
Genuinely, tell me a club that's going to pay that money. 80
I know, and that's. I think he is worth that, but again, who is going to pay that?
Who's going to pay it?
Yeah,
that's the problem.
We're willing to pay 8. But, you were talking about flipping. What's his name? Andersons and Whartons at 70, 80 million pounds. You're telling me this guy's not worth 100 million? This guy's bloody one of the. He's good enough to be captain of Liverpool Football Club, won the title yeah, the catalyst, the main man for this football club right now. Let's be honest, he is the main man. He has to, bro. He's a £100 million player.
I don't think he is, man.
I'm willing to pay 90 million for bloody Anderson the other day on our thing. Yeah, and
You're
Wharton's
crazy.
Declan Rice for
And you know what it is? Maybe it's the going rate, but I don't know. I don't like.
Who would you?
If you want these type of players that can play everywhere, that are never injured, you know, captain material, been there, done it, they cost a lot of money.
That is a big attribute. Right. The availability attribute is huge.
I don't think anyone. I see someone put Bayern, PSG, City. I don't think any of them pay 90 million for Szobo.
We paid
maybe PSG. Maybe
we paid 55, 60 million for him.
I think we paid about 65, wasn't it?
60 million we paid for Szobo.
There you go. We bought him at that price then. Imagine his worth now.
Is it just
whatever? Listen, I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose him. I think he's a great player, and I keep saying I think he's got another 2 levels to go to. But I just don't think anyone signs him for more than 70.
I think he signs because the only club he wants to go to is Real Madrid, and I don't think Liverpool allow him to run his contract down. So I think they
shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't.
He's not good enough for you to allow him to go on a free.
No. So I think there's good, but then at the same time, who's the suitors, as you say? So we've almost like done over the battle.
But this is what I'm saying. The club have to be brave now. I'm sick of us getting to this point where, and we spoke about this at the start of the season. Why is it only us that are having these contract problems? Like, it's so frustrating. Like, and I get it. There's only after Liverpool. There's only Real Madrid and Barcelona you can go to. There's no one else on our level that you could ideally want to move to.
From a financial perspective, yeah.
But for us now, what's that? Sorry.
No, that I agree with. We shouldn't. You know, we should have either sign up or fuck off. And I've been saying that for a long time. But Ben knows.
We've got to be brave, man.
But I'm just, you know, I'm flipping.
But we've got to. As Sim says, we've got to be brave and say, right, okay, if you don't sign, you're not starting next season. But,
absolutely.
You know, when does a club ever?
I'm not going to dispute it, and I don't want anyone to think I'm shitting on him. I think he's got another 2 levels to go to. And, you know, he might get there, but I'm just saying, I don't think he's a £100 million player. I don't want to lose him. But if he's not gonna sign the contract, get rid of him. He's not worth getting your pants pulled down for again. We had it with Trent.
It is a dilemma. It is a dilemma without a doubt.
Guys, I think that's a wrap. Guys, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. We will be back tomorrow night, so please do join us for the show at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Ben, Sim, is brilliant as always. It's brilliant. You know what? Us three, and I think Jake will be back. We'll be doing hopefully the Thursday shows going forward. But guys, over and out. Have a good one, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.